It is a beautiful day here in Troutdale, Oregon, just east of Portland. How the heck are you, creepers? It's Clearski and I'm back. And today I am standing in front of the Harlow House. This house was built in 1900 on what was known as the Harlow Farm by Mr. Fred E. Harlow, the son of Captain John Harlow, the actual founder of Troutdale. Originally a sea captain from Maine, Harlow was a Portland businessman who came to the Sandy River to establish a country farm. He named his place Troutdale because of the fish ponds that were located just right here where that gazebo stands now. And we're gonna go and check out some more of the Harlow House here. We're going to creep right back over here and check out some more of what the Harlow House has to offer. Like I said, it is a beautiful day, and I really appreciate you guys for joining me as always. And there is a couple of very incredibly cool things here. We're going to check out a art piece, a couple art pieces, but more specifically Lover's Oak, which is just right here on the back side of the Harlow House. But first I thought we would creep over here and check out some more of these little art pieces, this gazebo, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about Lover's Oak and everything. But check this out. Right from the get-go, we've got this beautiful trout art display here named The River Bend by Jordan Mcgee. Making use of springs at this site, Captain John Harlow built fish ponds here in 1870. Planted them without trout, naming his farm. Planted them with trout, naming his farm, and later the town Troutdale. And it looks like this piece was presented in 2015 by the City of Troutdale, Troutdale Historical Society, and Troutdale Parks Advisory, which I will definitely leave links to. But if you guys can see, this is so cool. Right from the get-go, an art piece honoring how Troutdale received its name. And if you guys can see here also, there's these cool old school kind of walkways, planks here that lead all the way around to this really old school little gazebo. And this looks like it is dubbed Robin's Way in memory of Robin and Julie Dix. That is awesome. So right from the get-go, you guys can see that this place is just full of history, and there's like a little walkway here, but there's also a little river back here, little ponds, where Captain John Harlow would dub his city here Troutdale because these were full. If you guys can see, they've got all these little walkways back here, which I find very, very peaceful, with the birds chirping. Just an incredibly cool house. Now this house withstood a flood, and if you guys look right here along the bottom, the foundation of the house actually sits up a little bit, would actually save the house from the flood that took place. And there was also another flood that happened here where the house was able to survive a couple different floods. And in a minute here, we're going to go right on the backside here. I'm going to show you guys something really cool that is a recreation of a tree that withstood one of the floods here and was actually created as Lover's Oak, hence the design. But first we're going to kind of check out this little pond area here, where I can imagine at one point was probably full of trout. Maybe when the water rises a little bit more, maybe they do get a little bit more fish. But look at this little kind of old little step bridge here. And it looks like this runs all the way to maybe the mouth of the Columbia. I'm not sure, but I can imagine back in the day coming through here and seeing all the fish and the salmon and trout. But we're gonna go back here and check out something that I really wanted to take you to, and that is Lover's Oak, which is a recreation, an art piece. The original tree was formed in the flood of 1876, if you guys can believe that far back. And check out this old barn. This barn here is now the home of the historic Columbia River Highway exhibit. But this right here is what I really wanted to show you guys. Now, the original tree, like I said, was formed way back when, during a flood, and it formed its shape here when it was still a little like a sapling. A couple logs from the flood must have rolled in and kind of set up on side of the tree here to create this kind of arch and whatnot. And if you guys can tell, well, it's really hard to tell that this is actually an art piece, which is actually cement. Like I said, this is a recreation. This tree has a tremendous amount of history. A gentleman by the name of George Limson and his wife Bertha got engaged here in 1911. And after that, it was for years known as Lover's Oak. It's actually a sapling of an oak savanna tree. And it was first discovered in 1879 by James and Wilbur Mcgee. And like I said, it did survive a couple of floods. It actually survived the 1962 Columbus Day storm as well. But this tree, for many years, so many people came through and loved it that it actually got a little bit more known recognition when it was actually featured in a cartoon comic strip better known as Ripley's Believe It or Not in 1930. So, believe it or not, this tree at one point was real. And as years passed, the Troutdale Society, a historical society, has recreated it. But I mean, it could fool me. I mean, you can basically see that even when you walk up to it, it's got the resemblance of oak. But as you kind of knock on it and feel that it's actually a cement art piece. So, very cool, very cool. And I do believe that this piece, the S-shaped piece, and this little spot here where a lot of the dubbed lovers would sit and enjoy their time here underneath this beautiful creation. But I believe that the tree here exists still. This is an actual part of the tree, because you guys can tell right here where the other part of the art installation kind of went in to recreate the original slope and everything. But this tree itself is real, so that's real bark. But until you get up really close, you can't really tell. But how cool is that this was actually featured on an episode, or not an episode, but a cartoon rendition of Ripley's Believe It or Not, right here off the historic highway in Troutdale. Pretty cool to think that the founders of the city were posted up here for many years and paving the path and creating what is now the beautiful Troutdale, Oregon. And if you guys look really close, you can see all the beautiful trees and everything about Troutdale that makes it so awesome. And at some point we are going to come back and probably visit both of these museums, because they do tell a lot more of Troutdale's history. But I really love this old school barn here with the kind of old school mural of the Columbia River Highway right up top here. Adds to that great kind of old school ambiance. They've even got some old bikes here that you could imagine probably were at one point parked here during the day, but now are actually utilized as a spot that you can park your actual bike, cruise down here, enjoy some of the shops and the scenery, and then park your bike right along these art pieces. So how cool is that, you guys, that just within this little area here there is so much history, including something that I thought was super cool, the recreation of Lover's Oak, a spot for many people to come and enjoy their time together right here in the beautiful Troutdale, Oregon. So Mike Verlson created this tree in 2018, so it's only been here for a couple years. But like I said, the original tree has tremendous amount of history. But I appreciate you guys very much, as always, for tuning in and creeping with Clearski. I appreciate you guys a lot, and I hope you guys found this little historic old school history as fun as I did creating it for you guys. I love coming out here and just exploring and realizing, man, it's crazy to think that with things so involved and all the cities evolving, that Troutdale and Portland and a lot of other cities as well have done such a great job of keeping its history alive and available for all to come and enjoy. So if you're ever in Troutdale, come on out here and check out the Harlow House. You can do me one better. You can hit that thumbs up. That way I know you guys like the video. You can ring that little bell right down below there. That way when I creep, you guys will be the first to creep. But how cool is that? You know, Lover's Oak featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not. Very cool. But that's going to do it for this edition of Creeping with Clearski. And as always, I really do appreciate you guys very much for tuning in. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace, you guys.